All right, we're on.
It worked.
Fantastic. Because I found a gavel, I start this meeting. All right. Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for coming to our May meeting. So to begin, I'm Joe Burpo. I'm behind the screen. The people that are here in person can see my lovely face. I am monitoring the chat. So if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat, and maybe somebody will, I or somebody else that's monitoring will be able to answer. Please raise your hand or unmute yourself when we go to open topics to make a comment. So first things first, we've been doing all right when it comes to staffing our games. Paul, if you're able to run us through how Ref Up has been going, if you want to break down any kind of information on that.
Yeah, I guess so. So you guys all get the weekly emails on when we can notice that, we're not getting any bids. So we're just, trying our best to cover the games as best as possible. A lot of those happen to be games that are up in Laramie or Fort Collins or Colorado Springs, kind of as usual. In trying to cover these games, sometimes, especially these sevens tournaments that are put on by D1A teams, those aren't always open to, every referee or, maybe below level 6 referees. So in order to cover those, we found that when we adjust officials to suggest, referees that are lower than that or whatever, sometimes it goes and assigns them, even though they haven't done anything to accept that bid. So be cognizant of that. When you do see a suggestion, make sure, maybe go into Ref Up real quickly and just make sure the system didn't automatically assign you to that game. We've had a couple situations now where you got a email saying your bid was won, even though you didn't put a bid in. You were just suggested or adjusted as an official, but not necessarily entered as an official. So especially this weekend up at CSU, we've added several referees that wouldn't normally have seen those bids on there. So I just want to make sure that you guys aren't, signing yourselves up for something that you can't do. And then on top of that, we're kind of getting closer to the end of the season, but it's been kind of a rough season with injuries and Sierra and just lots of different things, and especially with Rugby Colorado scheduling a lot of their games on Saturdays, even though we've kind of petitioned them not to do that. So we're going to work with them on that some more. I don't understand. I wasn't in this role when they made their schedule, but hopefully we can fix that in the future so that we don't have this strain on our society. The other part of the society strain is that we haven't had a level 1 course in 2 years. So getting newer refs and a lot of coaching opportunities to build up our existing ref base has been kind of tough. So those are kind of all of the issues that we've had this season, but for the most part, we've done a pretty good job as much as we can, except we had one referee that did 14 sevens matches this last weekend. So hats off to him. And yeah.
Charlie Jones.
Charlie Jones,
our champion.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine. So yeah, thank you very much. And hopefully that never happens to anybody on this call again.
Yeah. So we also have, so right now, as I look at the schedule, we have the CSU sevens this weekend. Right now we just have Mr. Larry Ramey. He's assigned there, but we would like to have a second referee. We've opened it up to the next our next group of referees down to level 8, I believe, is the opening, because this is D1A. but it's sevens on that side. The other thing is that I opened up Ref Up, and I noticed that Denver Highlanders just put a request in for a referee and assistant referee. They've done that within the last 4 hours.
Yep.
So what I've done is, and we'll discuss on that if I'm doing this out of turn or as at my prerogative. I've locked out that the ability to take on that assignment until the CSU sevens is fully staffed. CSU sevens has been on there for a while. I realize that it's up in Fort Collins, but we need people to go up there and staff that tournament before somebody that's put on the schedule 5 days in advance. So I realize that might sound a little harsh if you're a Denver Highlander or a Denver Water Dog, but that's what needs to happen, so that way we know what our staffing needs are. So yeah, get at me if you have questions in that regard. Jim has his hand. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
Are we charging the clubs and schools extra if they add games at the last minute? You know, with a sliding scale, if they do it less than 2 weeks, it's X. If it's less than 1 week, it's double X. And if not, why not?
I believe there's something, I believe that there is an extra fee if it's added within a certain time frame, but it's kind of behind the scenes and not something I can see or control. Maybe Gore can kind of help that, but I have seen some verbiage about that somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure what that is or where.
No, there's no additional fees when people add matches late.
Okay.
That's something that we bill. I think, Paul, that's something that we must bill in our
Invoice.
own capacity. Yeah,
Okay.
because of the intricacies. But yeah, we do bill them. I guess the bill will come at the end of the season because of the lateness of the ad. Just as much as the Highlanders will be billed late. Any other questions? All right. So
I can get up there, but I don't think I can do the whole day. Do we have a match schedule?
Not yet, but we can work with you on whatever you can do. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely get probably a good 3 hours up there. So I'll, if you get a match schedule, I'll try to give you my block.
all right. Well, once that end is confirmed, by Zap, I'll open up the bidding for Highlanders Water Dogs as center referee and assistant referee.
And hey, I know I'm new, fairly new, but if you guys need any extra bodies up in Fort Collins, I got that Saturday free. So whatever works. I don't know how everything, goes along with it being the new guy and everything, but I'm open that day. So whatever you guys need.
Dude, me and Noah handle that.
Great.
Noah.
As long as I'm with Johnny
Amy.
Rugby, man, I feel safe.
Let's do it. All right. Yeah.
Great.
Joe, what's the ideal number of referees to cover that event?
I think right now, based off of the number of games that we've been provided, is 2. Noah, what we can do is we can organize that, or we can also open up, because you've said that you're available. Once that CSU game is staffed, we can move you to an assistant referee with Highlanders Water Dogs. But I see looking forward, you've got a similar assignment or you've bid on to be have a similar assignment in the future. So, but we can talk about that intricacies later. So just looking forward into from now until our next time. So obviously all things subject to change. This weekend, I want to give a special shout out to Rick Goldhammer. I don't think he's on the call. Maybe he is, who knows? He was assigned to Houston, Texas for the South region's regional playoffs for club playoffs. That along with me, Gulf Coast. Yep. And that alongside me, I'll be in St. Louis for the whatever you want to call it, North Super Regional. And then also occurring on May 7th, we've got a fair amount of high school games coming up, as well as the start of the Raptors homestand. We've got Raptors versus, it's listed as Carfu. I believe it'll be Seattle coming in. It'll be in Infinity Park at 2:00, as well as the Gray Wolves, Houston Athletic, the Sharks D1 team. Looking forward, also on Saturday, May 21st, we've got playoff games for Rugby Colorado D1. Those games will be assigned by the RDOs specifically. So while yes, I see that there are a total of 9 bids on those things, I believe that we're going to finals on the 21st. So they are not just playoffs, they are finals. Those will be assigned by RDOs. So thank you for letting us know that you're available, but we will make sure that those get assigned based off of the spring's performance. So yeah, so we've done the next month's upcoming season. We've talked about highlights, the fact that Charlie Jones is an absolute champ. And we also brought it, I also wanted to bring up that we had an event at the beginning of the last month that was the regional qualifiers for collegiate sevens nationals. We had a good crew that headed down to cover men's D1A, men's D2, D3, and women's D1, D2. We had 3 exchange referees. They were 2 out of Texas and then 1 out of Northern California. So we will try to utilize those as exchanges as well. So with, I don't know if anybody has any more questions. Bill, are you, yeah, any hands up? Nothing? We'll roll into, we're going to talk about fitness here. So at the end of the season, it's important that we've worked ourselves into fitness so that way we're peaking right now. You should be working out in the off season and in the lead up into the season. So if Mr. Steve Gore would like to open it up, I can open up a Google Sheet if you'd like. Or it seems to be that he's got his own stuff. So look at the page and go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. I thought we could spend just a few minutes talking about, I guess eventually it'll be fitness, but I thought before that, like looking at a little bit higher level and thinking about what are the things that we can really control as match officials? And, we can also talk about like things we can influence and then things that we cannot control. And then we can dive into some of the details there. But yeah, I thought I'd just open it up. Like, what do people think are items that we as match officials can control?
Oh, your laws.
Sorry, Angela, can you say that a little bit louder?
It's knowledge of the laws.
Love it. Absolutely. Knowledge of the laws. We have complete control over that.
Punctuality.
Punctuality.
Good kit. Appearance.
Cool. Appearance.
Our fitness.
Freon, was that you?
Yes.
Fitness?
Our speed, our fitness level, our positioning.
Perfect. Fitness. Love it. Our emotions. Oh, there's a whole nother session on emotions. There's probably a lot of people that we know that cannot control their emotions. So
I think emotional control is like something you go to see a therapist about. You spend a lot of money on.
yeah.
Hence why we're talking to Steve Gore.
Right.
I'm gonna put that maybe under influence, but this is good. Like let's keep going. What are some other ideas that we think we can control?
Time.
All right. I'm gonna put that in not control. Weather can't control.
Does it not say in the law book that the referee is the ultimate judge on law and time?
So you meant the time of a match, not time in the metaphysical sense.
Maybe. But yes. Thank you. Good clarity. I'll agree with that. Yep. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I like it. Any other thoughts here?
How about instead of a match, within a match?
Perfect.
Repeat that, please. Time within.
I think the referee can control preparation.
Good. What is preparation like? Expand on that a little bit, Jim.
Previewing the game for himself, figuring out what he needs to work on, what he's going to work on, how, what he expects from the teams, how he might deal with stuff that he expects from this particular game.
Cool. So I'm going to call that like a pre-match plan. How's that?
Okay.
I've got Nelson has said professionalism, attitude, and effort. And Don Dowling has given pregame chat. So I think that's the pre-match plan, pre-match chat, things that you do in the pre-match.
Okay, cool. The interesting thing about like the pre-match chat is I had a team that I was like, all right, let's do this. And they're like, sorry, our hooker's in the bathroom and our other prop hasn't arrived yet. So like it sort of went out the window for me. But I like these. I'll add one other thing in here.
I've also seen scenarios where a pre-match plan has gone where the referee says something and the team literally says, no, I don't think we're going to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, I think to the point of like the pre-match chat, like I'll put communication on here, right? Like we can control how we communicate during the match, before the match, after the match with people. So this is a great list. This is a really good list of things that we can control. It would be interesting at some point to build out more of this, of like what we can influence and what we cannot control. But I would say that as referees, like this is where we should be focusing on. And in these meetings that we have, maybe not time, although like we can talk about watches and stuff. This is where we should be spending most of our time and effort, is in these items that we can control. And so of these, like fitness, knowledge of the laws, again, all of these are important. But today, like, let's dive into fitness, because this is a really, in some ways, it's a very simple thing for us to control. In some ways, it's a difficult thing, like specifically to do. So if we're thinking like, cool, fitness is a thing that matters, is important, and that we can control, what are some things that people can do to control their fitness? What are fitness building activities that people, like, what do you do to train for rugby?
Diet,
Okay.
eat right, that's the base of it.
If people live in East Denver, I have 3 free classes to Front Range CrossFit. Anybody here that lives in that vicinity, you get first dibs on fitness.
And so Joe, like for people who haven't done CrossFit, talk to us quickly, like what is a CrossFit workout like?
So it's a combination of cardio and strength. So I think that a lot of people lean heavily on the cardio. So sometimes it's the quick reaction, the first 3 steps out of the blocks of away from a breakdown. But it's also sometimes the thing that I leaned heaviest on when I first started was my endurance. I was able to have the same work rate from minute kickoff to minute 80 and beyond. And I'm trying to work to strengthen the first 3 steps. So with that comes weightlifting, that comes, and that includes solidifying your cardio. So you don't have to be a bodybuilder to do this. It is just something that I would suggest people get into, is the weightlifting as well, because that'll help you stay up there for 8 minutes.
Perfect. That's excellent. What other ideas and things do people do for fitness? Jim is raising his hand.
Oh, I don't do anything for fitness because I can't. But when I was in the hunt, I very much tried to tailor my fitness training to what I was training for. And what you described with CrossFit sounds a lot like it, but more so. For which I mean, yes, you have to build endurance, but just because you can run 5 miles doesn't mean you can sprint 25 yards from one ruck to another, change direction and sprint another 30 across the field. So I think, part of fitness is training for what you're doing. It's like anything else in life, So I think you need to tailor what you're doing to the kind of refereeing you're doing. I mean, there's very few 100-yard sprints in a game. There's a lot of 15-yarders.
Great. So I'm going to put down short sprints with direction changing. I think Charlie Jones, you had something in here as far as distance.
Combination of distance and interval cardio running. And then also, I'm going to take this directly from Charlie because he's the man of 14 matches. Good stretching before and after training, and probably after your games. The term that I've heard is prehab rather than rehab. And then Bull said interval training, sprint, walk, sprint. Those are also called.
Cool. We've got intervals and sprints. So perfect. Good. What other what other activities are people doing or used to do or think they should be doing?
Steve, I don't have a way to raise my hand here, but when I was going through the ranks, I was still training with a team. I wasn't doing any of the contact stuff, but when they would split up into backs and forwards, I would go with the backs and I would play like a supporting and attacking flanker. And there's your sprint workout.
Cool.
They run plays and I would get 25, 30 sprints in a night.
Awesome.
And to agree with Joe, that's what I do. I go to rugby practice. It's great.
And you don't get bored doing it either.
You go drinking afterwards. It's fun.
So Freon, you want me to add drinking as part of your fitness routine?
That goes under diet.
Yeah, okay.
Works. Whatever keeps you motivated.
Good. Perfect. Love it. Other thoughts that people have here?
Personally, I do yoga every day, so that helps with the stretching,
Core strength.
and core strength, balance.
Awesome. That's a great one. Any other ideas, pieces to add here?
Something I do as a FedEx courier, I hit stairs. I run 5 stairs, 5 flights usually 2 or 3 times a day. So just adding that to when I can.
Perfect. That's great. I'll add one thing I do that isn't listed on here. And I really started doing this during the pandemic is spin classes. Like I really love interval spin classes on a bike.
Cool.
Cool.
Just to add on one more thing, going to rugby practices with a men's team or even a youth team and acting as a referee around rucks and getting yourself into good positions and let them run unopposed or whatever, that gives you an opportunity to be in the right position and see when you're in the wrong position.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Training for what you're going to do.
I got one more to add, and super anecdotal, but for me, but when I was in the peak of my rugby refereeing fitness, I was doing a lot of power yoga. And to me, it was my secret weapon of strengthening those little inner core muscles and compressing joints, as well as, of course, stretching and more elasticity in the muscles. So between all those, it was that secret weapon that kept me from getting injured throughout the years, but also my fitness went way up. So I'm a huge advocate of power yoga.
I love it. That's awesome. Cool. Anybody else have something they want to throw into the brainstorm here?
If you like a coach-led class, I found Orange Theory Fitness has a pretty good endurance / power, treadmill type workout, especially in the wintertime.
Yeah, and again, that's sort of like cardio. There's some intervals. Is there strength parts
There's
of Orange Theory?
Yeah, there's a strength. It's like half running and half strength to whatever little like circuit.
Yeah, nice. Cool. This is an awesome list of things, and obviously what works for each person is going to be different based on your goals and your body and what you like, I guess. But I thought it might be interesting to sort of end this discussion by putting together like what would a week look like? We're in the season. We've got a match on Saturday. We've got a match the next Saturday. What would 6 days, 7 days of fitness look like based on some of these different things that we have brainstormed? So anyone want to say like, hey, it's Sunday. day after a match, what, if anything, are you doing?
Rest.
Good luck, bike ride.
I go for a long bike ride.
Bingo.
Red Rocks.
Red Rocks.
We'll do Red Rocks.
Okay, cool. It's a little hard for me to pick up everything there, but what I heard was like long bike ride, and then I also heard rest there.
Red Rock.
Red Rocks was the term that these guys use. So is that steps or is that a
Steps,
workout?
Running on the bleachers.
Oh, I can't
running
keep up with the
in
guy working
trail.
out.
There's a guy that puts on a class that is just, he'll run you in the ground. Well, maybe not you guys, but yeah, me. But yeah, steps and trails.
Okay. So a Red Rocks fitness class.
Or just on your own. Up and down 6 times.
That's boy, that's a tough Sunday after a match on Saturday, but good, man. Get after it.
I mean, during the week for me, I work from home 2 days a week, so I try to get about 10 to 12 miles on the stationary bike, get the dogs out just for a walk. At work, we have a gym, hit that usually about 2 days a week. Just some general weightlifting through there.
It's important, I think, if you have a game on the Saturday, it's important to keep moving. I think that a lot of people rely on, like they say, okay, Sunday is my day of rest. I can sit at home. Well, the events that we all are working towards, that we all want to be a part of, is Aspen Rugger Fest or some of these 2-day tournaments, multi-day tournaments. And the more that you train towards that, the more you'll be able to. Thanks, Steve. The more that you work towards that. So if you work out twice in a row, then you'll be able to referee twice in a row. Don't
6 days straight.
Yeah.
Nice bad after the match. Key.
All right, cool. So we've had a match on Saturday, Sunday. You know, we've done some different activities here. What about Monday, right? Like 2 days after the match, what's a good fitness activity that people are doing? I guess this was today for folks.
Stretching and strength, walking, just moving.
Yoga and walking.
Today was a heavy, not heavy weights, but more, what was it? Endurance strength day.
Yeah.
Endurance strength. So be lifting, but high reps.
Yeah.
Okay. What about tomorrow? What's the plan for folks for fitness?
Tomorrow we start getting back into sprints.
Tomorrow's a heavy day.
Tuesday's a practice day.
Tomorrow's heavy. Tomorrow is the day that I can actually use to build the strength, not necessarily relax or whatever. Wednesday is a sprint day. Okay. At least in my mind.
And that would work very nicely if we get Rugby Colorado to put games on Wednesday.
It would be nice.
It would be well, there's only been a few.
We had 7 bids on one game.
Yeah,
For Wednesday? That was for Saturday.
So Joe, you said sprints on Wednesday?
Yep.
What are other folks doing on Wednesdays?
Go ahead.
I usually do a Orange Theory class, probably at least 4, if not, well, during the week, probably 5 days a week, sometimes 6. So that we put in there. And then if I do an early morning class, like a 5 a.m. class, then in the evening, I might run over to like North High and try to do some sprints and practice the Bronco, which is always a little bit.
Brewers are down 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. They need a base runner.
I agree. Do some base running. Run the base.
Yeah.
That works.
All right, cool. Track work. All right, so now we're getting into the tail end of the week, right? Like we're starting to get towards the next match. So what does Thursday look like for folks?
Thursdays are rugby practice days, rugby training.
Yep.
Team training.
Yeah, and
If you don't
endurance
have a team
and
training,
endurance lift.
Find some sprints, somewhere to do sprints.
Who are you training?
Me?
Who do you train?
Marauders. They practice right around the corner from my house.
That's nice.
It's great.
And then last one on here, Friday, day before a match. Is a heavy strength day for you, Joe? Is that right?
Likely.
No, it's a open it like it's. I have these openers. It's workouts that you use that are just keep the body moving. It's a lot of. It's some crunches. It's spin on an assault bike for a minute. Yeah, it's mean.
Okay.
But short duration, 30 minutes.
Opener workouts. Sounds like sort of an activation type of workout to me.
The word that I was trying to look.
Mention yoga.
Yeah, Zap's back to yoga. I agree. That's my Friday is yoga and drinking with Freon. Other thoughts on Fridays? Okay, cool. Well, oh, sorry,
I got
Jim.
one suggestion.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is important, I said earlier, you should train for what you do. I think we should go out and run when it's raining and snowing. Because not so much now, but games are still happening in the rain and the snow. And, you got to be able to handle the conditions and wind.
You think you can control. You don't bid on games. It's going to be cold and nasty if you don't want to go.
No, I'm serious because wet days are going to affect ball handling. Snow, you're going to have to tread differently.
That's a great suggestion. I'm not going to do it, but it's a very good suggestion, Jim. Cool. Well, I hope this was a useful, interesting conversation for everybody to think about. One, that fitness is something that we have complete control over. It's up to us how fit we are. And then two, that there's a whole host of different things that each of us are doing individually and as a team, collectively, we're all doing. I mean, some of these things I want to go out and try, like Zap's power yoga and Joe's sprint bikes or salt bikes. So hopefully this gave some ideas about different things we can try, and then also different ways of spreading them out here throughout the week. I would say like one thing, just looking at this list, is there's only one time that we said rest on here. And it probably is important as athletes that we are giving ourselves time to recover and rest as well. So that's it from me. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. If
Thanks,
I understood everybody correctly, though, Friday is basically almost like a rest day with some activity. Would you agree?
Oh, I would definitely agree with that. We will send that kind of outline to people. If you want to work more specifically, I can point you towards some people. If people Google search the South African rugby referees, they posted a PDF online. Will be and you can follow that. It's kind of it's about 11 years old now, but it still has the whole idea of IWC, you know, interval workouts and all this other kind of stuff. So at this point in the meeting, I was expecting to have a short presentation by Mose. Fortunately, don't see him on here.
That's what happens when you're Hall of Famer, you know. Can't be,
and so we're
Hey.
Oh, sorry, Jim, you turned off. I know. Yeah, but that's after the slow has gone off, you know. Moses is new, so he's kind of getting used to the whole thing.
So we've got we'll get that document that Steve was typing out and presenting to everybody. We'll get that out to everybody. That'll be part of the notes. And then we also will have more information on our finals coming up here shortly, as well as more information from on Raptors game. Maybe we can get our groups together, as well as the upcoming L1 that at least at this point we have planned in June. So I'm gonna quickly look at the chat here.
Who's running the L1?
Who's running it?
Yeah.
Educators from USA Rugby. So I believe Mark is going to be one of them. I don't have too much information on it.
When will there be details available?
Whenever USA Rugby decides to give them to us, and declined to allow us to have one.
So because I've gone to two of the L1. The first one that I was certified at with Regis, which was a good one.
Thanks, Angie. You might want to speak up.
And I also went to another one that was held at the same time they were doing the L1 course. They were also training referee coaches.
Yep.
And that particular one was like even more informative because it went through some breakdowns on things that, or more in-depth breakdowns than we got the first time that I was involved.
Okay.
So I'm just curious if this one's going to be like how much is going to be gone over that might be still enlightening to a current certified ref or to get other people on board to do it.
If there are things that you want to have covered instead of going to an L1, I would suggest that you just email me and we can set it up as a program for on Monday.
Well, that was one of the things I would like to suggest in general, because I remember from the very get-go of starting these meetings, especially the in-person meetings, it was a lot more. I mean, there were things that we went over that were important, but they were also things of where we would discuss things that happened in a game, like a game that you were on, very specific, like maybe breakdowns, like is this coming in from the side, is this like where you can actually, especially now have had a little bit of that experience, then it's like pretty sure that's myself, but I'm not quite sure. And then even reviewing the film, having things like, I still don't know if that was quite, if I called that right or didn't call that right, if I should call that, just things like that. So I just think it would be interesting, things like the mall, like very specific things that are happening in a mall.
As we're trying to start up the in-person meetings, one of the things that we were trying to do with education was making sure that we actually talk about the clips. not the technical aspect of running a referee society. Why am I not getting these games? That kind of thing. But also talking about the assignments or the games themselves, talking about the intricacies of the breakdown, this kind of stuff. I am so open to people sending me topics. Send me a topic by the next week, and I will be of it. I'll put it on the agenda instead of me coming up with all of this stuff. Steve came up with the idea of the fitness, but otherwise, I don't know what we were going to talk about. I was going to figure it out. Mark, go ahead if you got something.
Yeah, so there are weekly meetings that I don't know if you're all aware or not, from different leagues around the US that are recorded and available to you all. So there is one for the WPL, there is one for D1A, and there's one for NERA when they're up and running. So those are, you all have access to those. They're under the meetings tab in Advantage, and you just click on the meetings tab, and it takes you to basically all the recorded meetings from the previous weeks. So there's a wealth of information and clips to follow of like how we would like how games are being officiated across the different leagues.
And Noah, at the beginning, you had talked about you're watching Premiership games, and that's fantastic. That'll get you a good basis of knowledge. But by being you are a registered referee within USA Rugby, you then can go and watch these meetings in person, or recorded meetings. The actual in-person aspect of them, or the virtual Zoom meetings, that's controlled because of the time capacity for some people. Like you could ask questions, but that would take an hour meeting, which could take 5 hours. You're talking to a bunch of referees, right?
But I have something to say.
Yeah, exactly. But you can watch all of these. You can slow it down yourself. You can go and watch all of my games. I have opened up to everybody, so everybody can go and watch all of my games. Brandon's game that he did a couple weeks ago, I know is on Advantage and is open for everybody. So you can go and watch your fellow local referees refereeing at the same time.
What's the URL for that, please?
live.advantagereferees.com. That will be as part of
it's in the chat.
Also in the chat, but that will be also in the meeting. So, or in the meeting minutes, or however you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then make sure that you're signed up. You have access. I know you do. So once you get that all logged in, you can go and watch 2 years of meetings. Any questions on folks? All the folks that are on the Zoom, I realize that some of you live in Fort Collins and abroad, around. The more people that we can get in person, the more opportunity that we will be able to get the ability to do things like fitness sessions, like talking about, hey, this is the way that you should actually approach the breakdown. And then we have 10 people approach the breakdown. Everybody here approach the breakdown, because we can all do this. I won't wear a pullover sweater. I'll actually bring rugby stuff. We all show up, we run out on the field. But that only works if we've got participants.
Hey, Joel, just a question again on the L1. Is that set for June?
We haven't gotten it 100% confirmed for June.
Right.
But when that's confirmed, I'll send it out, so that way we can have 50 people there.
Can you also post it on our website?
Yeah.
Because we've got these cards, we got
Yep.
many years ago, and anyone I get chatting to on the sideline, like parents.
Yep.
And coaches or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I should really do this. I'd like to understand the game a bit more. I hand them a card with the hope, and I say, hey, I think we have a June L1. So check the website and register for it. So
Yeah.
as soon as we get it, if we could put it up there,
Just as much as this meeting will be up there, we will also have that.
that'd be great.
There.
Thanks. Thanks.
Do we know if and when the Barbos are doing Denver Sevens this season?
I don't
Yeah.
have,
It's the 19th of
Oh.
June. 18th.
18th of June.
That's what they've told me.
Well, you know, one of those things where they haven't told me, they haven't told anybody on the board. So to my idea, doesn't exist. Huh? I have no idea.
That's supposed to be the same weekend, and they're supposed to be at the same place.
Yeah. Mike and one of the 75 boys.
Hey, just back to the L1 conversation. We're trying up here in Fort Collins to set one up for the end of the summer, August, September. And I think about 15 people already chomping at the bit to take one of those. So hopefully we'll get some more coverage up north here as well.
Yeah, that is.
I have messaged our education coordinator for the Northwest as our territory again today, along as with the director of education, Jamie. I'm totally drawing a blank, and the referee manager, Jamie, to get it scheduled as soon as possible. So I sent them another request today, and we do have a new training coordinator. It's KJ Abel out of St. Louis.
We will try. We are trying, folks. The referee shortage on our end is causing us to speak up even more, but we're fighting against the tide. So that's all I care to really say about that. But any other questions? We'll send out a brief on the L1 in due time ahead of time. All right. I think we're good here. Thank you everybody for showing up. Talk to you in a month. Be on the lookout for a bunch of emails. That's what I do. Thanks, everybody.
Good night. Safe drive home, you, the rest of you.
Actually,